Welcome to Kevin Deal Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we are going to be doing a photo shoot on the Mamiya C330. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Deal Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below.
And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the F11 Podcast, my weekly podcast that's on all major platforms, including Apple and Spotify.
So if you were to ask me, hey Kevin, which camera would you recommend getting into if you're going to get into medium format film? Well, if you don't have a huge budget and you want to get some great quality, get an incredible value for your money, I actually do recommend you check out the Mamiya C330. I do believe it punches above its weight class. It can hang with some of the nicer cameras that are out there. If you go check out my beginner's guide to the Mamiya C330, I think that'll give you a much more detailed review of this camera. Today we're mainly going to shoot on it, but one of the things that video talks about are some of the shortcomings of the camera. None of them are deal breakers because I own one. But one of the shortcomings of the Mamiya C330 is that you have to commit to an entire roll of film. If you're shooting in color and you're like, hey, I want to do this shot in black and white, you can't just take a film back off and put a new film back on like you can with the RB and the RZ67 and in a 1x1 crop. The Hasselblad, which is about 5 or 6 times more expensive than this, also has removable backs. So how do I combat that when I'm out in the field? I shoot with 2 Mamiya C330s. Yes, I do own 2 Mamiya C330s. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, they're not that expensive. So oftentimes I will just bring 2 with me on a shoot. I can actually fit them in one bag along with my Fuji XH2, which I'm recording with right now, in addition to 3 lenses on the XH2 and a total of 3 lenses with the C330. Now, as you can see, I have one that utilizes a prism finder and I have another one that utilizes a waist level finder. So I will be using both today. I'm going to shoot with a couple of film stocks as well. I'm going to be doing Delta 400 for the black and white. I'm leaning toward Portra 800 for the color. I think the colors of the leaves changing here in Austin will look really gorgeous on that film stock. I'm going to be working with Tatum Forbes, who you've seen on this channel several times. We're going to be doing kind of some Sofia Coppola inspired looks from the early 2000s, and we'll see what we can get. Get here, 1/500th at f4. Come down one to there. Come down to that one actually. Here we go, 1, 2. Awesome. Now I'm gonna change up my angle a little bit.
One undeniable thing about the C330 is that its unique looks make it a conversation starter.
Somebody with a real camera for a change.
Thank you. Yes, got to use light meters and everything. 2. Awesome. 1, 2. Awesome.
Oh, speaking of light meters.
So there are several different ways you can meter your shots when you're shooting with film. You can use the old school Sunny 16 rule, which will work in a pinch. It's a great chart of reference you can use. If you're not sure, you can always get close enough, usually to the tolerances of the film, and the Sunny 16 rule will get you out of a jam. You can also use a nice light meter. You can also use a light meter app on your phone, Or you can do what I typically do, which is I just use the Fuji X-H2 that I'm shooting myself with right now. I put it in stills mode. I take some test shots with it in stills, and I set the ISO to the box speed ISO. I just expose usually for my subject. I get a great shot with it, and then not only does it tell me how my film is likely going to behave, but it also gives me a backup shot in case I accidentally ruin my film during the development phase, or maybe something goes wrong and I lose the entire roll of film. I have a backup shot. So if you have a paying client, or you just have a project that's super important to you, you always have a second copy of your work. A little further back. 1, 2. I'm gonna do one more, even further back, where I can get the whole basketball hoop. So let me move this off to the side. 1, 2. Got it. Need some close ones. Now let me push fate, overexpose it just a little bit. Ooh, I like the whole body. Hold on. There we go. Awesome.
Here?
Yeah, 1, 2, awesome.
So we built this shoot up, and I feel like we really hit our stride on the basketball court look. However, there was one final look, the main look that we wanted to do, and that was the look in front of the trees that just changed colors. So I guess now would be a good time to tell you about the lenses that I'm using. I'm using the 180mm f4.5 in this particular shot. That's why I'm off frame. For most of the shots, I'm using the 105 f3.5. If you're wondering about the perspectives on that, the 180 on a 6x6 is about the equivalent of a 90 to 100 field of view on a full frame. And the 105 is just slightly longer than a normal field of view, but it's basically a normal field of view. I love to use 105 to tell stories. It's super cheap, and oftentimes it's actually thrown in with the camera. So that does it for today's episode. I thank each and every one of you for sticking around. The C330 for the money is probably one of the coolest cameras you can buy in the film world, especially the medium format film world, for the money. Obviously, there are cooler things and much more expensive cameras, but how much is that really worth to you? If you just want to go out, shoot around, have some fun with some medium format film, I'd say the C330 does an incredible job. I want to give a special thanks to Tatum Forbes, who helped me with this episode. She had a really cool concept she brought to me, and hopefully I brought it to life for her. If you like what you saw today, tell me about it in the comments below. Do you use your C330 to shoot editorials, tell stories? Tell me about that in the comments below. And if you like this channel, I humbly ask you, click the subscribe button below. And if you can, check out the F11 Weekly Photography Podcast with my co-host Brandon Gorey. We're on all major platforms, including Apple and Spotify. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.